Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another legal breaking reporting video analysis update. As promised, here is the reporting on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's attempted illegal delay tactic regarding the DOJ attempting to delay his deportation case during the 2025 government shutdown. Let's view this reporting by Bloomberg. Ladies and gentlemen, the article by Bloomberg reads, is titled, DOJ Can't Delay Abrego Garcia Deportation Case Amidst Shutdown. Ladies and gentlemen, the article reads, a federal judge in Maryland denied the Justice Department's request to pause Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation case during the government shutdown. Ladies and gentlemen, U.S. District Judge Paula Xinis ruled at a court hearing Monday that she would not delay the case given its significance not only to Abrego Garcia, but also due to the important fundamental question at stake. Quote, I'm just duty-bound to continue it, unquote, she told the lawyers. The Salvadoran migrant, ladies and gentlemen, migrants' situation and complicated legal proceedings have emerged as a symbol of the Trump administration and their hardline and body contested. Ladies and gentlemen, my editorial edition. Immigration policies. He rose to prominence after he filed a high-profile lawsuit in March challenging his wrongful deportation to a notorious prison in El Salvador. Abrego Garcia is fighting his expulsion from the United States. The government's latest plan, according to representations by the Justice Department in court, is to send him to Eswatini, a country in southern Africa where he has no ties to. Xinis is weighing whether to order Abrego Garcia, ladies and gentlemen, Garcia, released from detention while the case moves forward on the merits. The judge expressed frustration during Monday's hearing with the government's inability to provide her with concrete information about what steps, if any, the administration had taken to carry out the Eswatini plan. The judge set a hearing for October 10 on the release issue and ordered the administration to make at least one official available to testify about the status of deportation efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the basic question. Quote, I'm asking you really basic questions, unquote. She admonished the government's lawyers during the hearing, calling it, quote, remarkable, unquote, that they were suggesting they couldn't, quote, find a soul, unquote, with information. The government shutdown began on October 1 after Congress failed to reach a budget deal before the start of the new fiscal year. The Justice Department has been scaling back its work on civil cases and asking judges to delay deadlines or put cases fully on hold. To which, ladies and gentlemen, Judge Xinis, Xinis, has thankfully stood her ground and said, no, DOJ. My editorial addition. The administration's attorneys have secured extensions in a number of cases with little fanfare, but in some, such as Abrego Garcia's case, they've faced pushback from judges and opposing counsel who contend that some matters are too time sensitive to delay. Earlier this year, Abrego Garcia was mistakenly sent to a Salvadoran prison despite an immigration judge's order that he couldn't be returned to his home country. The administration protested court orders to facilitate his return to the U.S., but eventually brought him back, only after bringing a criminal case charging him with human smuggling. He has pleaded not guilty. It's like, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, why play games with the court system, especially in America, knowing that the doofus sexual predator in office is supposed to, by law, uphold his oath to office and defend the Constitution of the United States, to which, because he and his Justice Department illegally brought these cases, this case in particular, in bad timing, especially after he sent Mr. Garcia to a notorious prison in El Salvador known as Secot and played games with the Justice Department, the justice system, and 3 months later, brought him back? Ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Ridiculous. Continuing with the reporting. The judge handling the criminal case in Tennessee ordered Abrego Garcia's released pending. Ladies and gentlemen, that word released is supposed to be release. That is a typo, ladies and gentlemen, in the reporting. Trial, and then immigration authorities took him into custody again in order to try again to deport him. He's been pursuing the civil case in Maryland to contest the immigration-related removal. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is by legal definition vindictive prosecution and illegal. And this is going against Judge Xinis' order, Xinis' order, to keep him within the United States. Judge Waverly D. Crenshaw Jr. in Tennessee last week approved Abrego Garcia's request to gather evidence about the criminal case, finding that his lawyers reasonably alleged at this early stage that it may, quote, may stem from retaliation, unquote, by the Department of Justice and Homeland Security. The case is Abrego Garcia v. Nome 25-CV 2780, U.S. District Court, District of Maryland, Greenbelt.